Hey, this is Tom with the Resurrect the Republic. This is a Jade Helm 15 update. This information contained is from Next News Network and Gary Franchi. We'd like to thank him for his work and what he's brought us, and we're going to share our Jade Helm documents and the Mastering the Human Domain by the RAND Corporation, what people need to know about. So stay tuned, and here is Gary Franchi.
Jade Helm decoded. That's the focus of this edition of Breaking Point on the Next News Network. Local media is reporting that citizens of Big Spring, Texas have seen helicopters and tanks moving into their town. This comes just a month after Thomas Meade spoke to the Big Spring City Council asking for their invitation. And following the 30-minute presentation on Jade Helm, resident Kimberly York had the courage to confront them with some pretty tough comments and questions.
Kimberly York, and I actually am one of the county residents, and I'm a little distressed with the fact, A, the county issued an invitation without letting the citizens know that it's going on in the county.
This morning you'll have a unique opportunity to provide some direct input to the agencies that are responsible for developing a long-range housing and transportation blueprint for our region.
We're at the very early stage, and public input is very critical to this early stage, and it will be to later stages in the process.
And I'm the senior field representative for a group called Greenbelt Alliance, and I manage the East Bay here.
Now here's the problem. The same corporation that's behind that Delphi technique that you're witnessing in the middle of this report is the same corporation, the same think tank that's behind defining mastering the human domain. And it's all about biometric data collection. That's what it's all about. Now, if that's the case, this is it right here. This is the work, and this is the same corporation that is proposing a federal police force that called the Posse Comitatus Act an impediment to what they wanted to realize, which is a Special Operations Command created militarized federal police force. They're talking about using the U.S. Marshals and other organizations to create this quasi-military police organization.
For Greenbelt Alliance.
We came here this morning to get some sense from you of what your thoughts are and what is important to you. Once we get that data, we can start to work on the details.
Somebody that works with us spoke to a public official from that town where the meeting was, and they said that they felt railroaded, like they wouldn't have had a choice no matter what they did. That is exactly this process, and that is what it's designed to do.
We are here today to implement what we had envisioned and what MTC and ABAG had envisioned in terms of complying with AB 32 and SB 375. So until we hear otherwise, that's what we're doing in these meetings, and very much need to get some input to provide for the commissioners and the ABAG board members.
Just this grand scheme, and then to run with it just makes me very nervous. And I moved to this area because I like the big backyards and things like that.
We are only equipped this morning to deal with the priorities that are up on the screen. Those are the priorities we're going to look at this morning.
But your priorities are violating.
Unfortunately, because we have a fairly packed program, we can't be fielding all of the questions that this would be raising. But those kind of questions, those kind of comments are exactly what we want to read about on those.
Next question, please. My name is Daniel McClue, and I'm a resident of Bastrop, Texas. I grew up here and got a rich family military history, so thank you for your service. You said the Department of Homeland Security was not involved. However, they are a cabinet position. It's under the jurisdiction of the president, and you are also under the jurisdiction of the president. So under the Bush administration, there's a document created, which is part of a bigger idea, but it was called Right-Wing Extremism, Current Economic and Political Climate Fueling Resurgent and Radicalization and Recruitment. And I won't get too much into that. However, it talks about gun owners, Christians, veterans, people that believe in the Constitution. In fact, when I look around in this room, a lot of people that are represented in this room are in that document. And so it seems to me that it's maybe kind of a slight conflict of interest that the government would be here in Texas in a place where people believe in the Constitution, where there are a lot of Christians, and if you're not a Christian, you're still allowed to practice your religion, and we respect that. And a lot of people that are proud to be gun owners. And so to see a big military buildup here, to me, I think those kind of people that pay attention and look at the documents the government puts out on right-wing extremism under the Bush administration, but we got a new president that, you know, I'm not going to go any further on that. But so I'm curious, and I'm no George Bush fan, but I'm curious. You said that the Department of Homeland Security wasn't directly involved in this. Are you aware of that document, the right-wing extremism?
No, you have to, one, take up the issue that you have with the Department of Homeland Security on that.
Okay.
Two, when you say, hey, we're all in that category, that really does actually template across, I'd say, 90% of the military, regardless of service. And I again have.
So do you find it kind of offensive that the government would potentially label you as a terrorist, sir?
Mr. Clue, that's enough.
Okay, and also, according to Mike over here, he was talking about representation, Mr. Poppy. I voted for you, sir, and I respect you. And the people of Bastrop do not want this.
We have lots of other.
Okay.
Worksheets.
There's no reason you can't have 1 to 5.
So please jot that down on your comment form, and we're going to need to go through this as it is. We can't change it right now.
Yeah. If you aren't feeling comfortable with these choices, you don't have to participate in the exercise, certainly. But
we don't have a none of the above. Why is there no none of the above?
I think I explained that we didn't feel like we could change the exercise in the middle of conducting all of these forums. So for better or worse.
I'll answer questions at the end.
Excuse me, can you tell me who Greenbelt Alliance is? Honestly, I've never heard of you guys before.
And I would encourage you all to hold your questions until the end. Thank you so much.
Just give us a 2-second.
I'm going to answer. There'll be time to answer some of these questions at the end.
Just give us a 2 seconds what the heck you guys do. I want to know who the guy is.
You guys aren't bossing the meeting. That's what it is. Just me. Usually oppose whole new roads, for example. Go back.
Sure. You can find information about Greenbelt Alliance on your program. Thanks. Who's going to lead us into a next exercise to try to get more of your ideas? Thank you.
You were going to answer some questions.
Yeah, I think if you want to go
We sent you to answer questions afterwards. We gave you the time to talk. We want the questions answered now, sir.
That I can't build on that farm?
That off topic. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have. I'm.
Should be on it? Yes.
No, I really don't understand. It's okay.
We can't resolve your invisible law.
Well, I don't understand. Thank
Okay.
you for
Okay.
I just don't know what my party should be.
Trust the process. There's going to be lots of time for discussion.
More chances.
Okay.
We're too uninformed to vote right now.
Are you a member of the group?
I'm a citizen in this area.
Okay,
It
so
concerns
did you
me too,
sign up?
okay?
Okay. Whoa.
Law that says you can't build outside the Bay Area.
You guys just do that so they can use it to like make decisions. They're just asking our opinion.
But you're making assumptions.
No, you're not. You're just giving our feedback.
It says right there, no new computers. How do you do that? This is a free country.
It's a survey.
This is. I'd like to respond to that, but then we're going to just take a couple more comments and then we're going to.
Now, please write them down. We have a specific period of time this morning to meet. We're already at the 10:30 point. We would like to get through this. We want to feel, this was not designed to field all your questions. It wasn't. And for that, I will.
You're asking us to vote on things that we don't agree with.
Then don't vote on them.
Answer based on stuff that we don't agree with.
Then you have the prerogative not to vote on them. But this is.
Count that I don't have a voice. It's the options you're giving.
It isn't. I don't think it's the case that you don't have a voice.
You're not giving us a choice to say we don't like any of those.
But you know, we've been working on this for about 6 to 7 months, and we don't have the prerogative at this moment in time of changing this to suit.
6 or 7 months, and you've got a 30,000-foot view, and you want us to vote on something that we don't have. We don't have enough information.
You know, if you feel like this process is not helpful for you, then please write that down on your comment form and tell us what would be. But
Start at 30,000 foot level.
Over the next 25 years, the Bay Area can expect to receive approximately $200 billion in transportation funding alone. By being here and getting involved, you get to choose how that money is spent and how the Bay Area should benefit.
I think that we should have been informed. I feel like it's being hidden from us about, and then all of a sudden an invitation's issued and it's on us. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. I think as citizens we have the right. I also am a hospice nurse. I have a lot of concerns about our elderly population in this county and in this city by things that are going on and being distressed. It may double our phone calls for home healths and hospices because we will be the first persons they call. And get distressed. What the press is putting out is really different than what we're seeing here today. The press is telling us, oh, you're not going to hear about it, you're not going to see it, it's just not going to affect your lives. Well, what we're reading here is that it might affect our lives.
Now, welcome to the RAND Corporation, the same corporation that created the Delphi technique, the same corporation that manipulates these meetings so that there's only one outcome, the same corporation that created mastering the human domain, created this 21st century policing model of a stability police force for the United States, a federal police force. And you can see that it is unaffordable, ridiculous, and Nazi-esque, and you'll see why.
And I think as citizens of this county, we should have a voice and whether that invitation is issued. I've got some, like I said, some real concerns. There's safeties for civilians. Why are we looking at safety issues if there's nothing to see here right now? By the way, I am a military brat. I do support the military. I feel that there's other ways of training than inflicting it on the citizens of this county.
Now, she felt the groundwork had already been laid. Then the military contractor simply came in to pitch the invite, as if it was a foregone conclusion. Now, before we get into the meat of the drill, let's talk about the potatoes. The military is enticing the invitations from the communities, stating that this 2-month drill will spur the local economies.
For example, food. If my team says I need 50 pounds of potatoes, I'm not bringing those potatoes from Fort Bragg. I'm not bringing those from North Carolina. My guys will go to the grocery store, they'll purchase 50 pounds of potatoes, and then they will be appropriately put in an item or in a location to be recovered by the training unit. So we're going to buy those things here.
Yes, you heard him correctly. A 50-pound bag of potato. That costs about $10 US at your local Walmart. Now, that was his example. And that, my friends, is the value being placed upon you, opening up your homes, your properties, your businesses, and your streets to this military exercise. Now, this guy certainly doesn't mind as long as his Walmart doesn't close and he doesn't miss the next rerun of How I Met Your Mother.
It's going to boost local economy as well, because you're going to have thousands of troops here buying groceries, the military is going to be buying fuel in the area.
Now for the meat of the operation, what should be expected to take place?
What can you expect? Now understand that this slideshow is our standard slideshow that we use to brief the counties and the cities. Within the cities, you won't see most of this, I would tell you. For example, increased aircraft in the area at night. You'll see that out in the rural area. We have a resupply, an aerial drop that will occur, and then some paratroopers as well will jump into Martin County in early August. It won't happen within the city limits. Noise complaints. If my guys are noisy here in the city, they're really doing something wrong, is what I would tell you. That third bullet, conducting suspicious activities. That's where, here in the city, we're looking at using the city from an aspect of conducting clandestine meetings within the city limits. There'll be no kinetic activity. There won't be gunfire going on. There won't be things like that. Our footprints within the cities are probably 5 to 6 people at the most when we do these meetings. But one of the most important things, and I know I've said it previously, is we link in with the law enforcement officers. They know when and where we're conducting activity. That way we actually invite the police department to be near the activity. That way they're able to answer constituent calls on that. The other thing that we do is we brief that prior to the activity going on. That way the police chief can let the dispatch know that this is occurring, so that when they field phone calls from concerned citizens, they're able to meet that off or cut that off at the pass.
Yes, you heard him correctly. He said clandestine activities will be taking place. Aircraft at night carrying weapons, and that the local population will certainly be startled. Now this means 911 call centers will be dealing with higher than normal call volumes, forcing the police to interface with the military and then the public, leaving other crimes going, well, not getting the attention that they deserve. He did confirm that they will be carrying weapons, mostly wearing civilian clothing, as well as driving civilian vehicles, and they will not be using explosives.
One of the things that we do as well, they will be carrying weapons, but it won't be live ammunition. It'll all be blank ammunition. Just to correct one thing that was in the newspaper on Sunday that I read was they'll have blank ammunition, but there will not be any explosions. We won't be setting off live demolition out here. The guys will be wearing civilian attire or a mixed uniform. They may be wearing fatigue bottoms and a t-shirt, but that's not normally anything that's out of the ordinary in West Texas from what I've seen, especially during hunting season. And they may be driving civilian vehicles throughout the area. So really, within the city limits, if you notice my guys, they're probably really doing something wrong.
What's curious about the drill is that even though they claim the soldiers will go unnoticed, they intend to have a medic within each unit, as well as fire safety gear, and local law enforcement will be in direct communication with the Department of Defense.
One of the most important things, the #1 priority for United States Army Special Operations Command, is the safety of our civilians and the exercise participants. We want to make sure that everybody's safe when it comes to this. Again, daily communication between law enforcement and Department of Defense. Anytime we're conducting activity in your jurisdiction, we will make sure that we coordinate. We have medics. Each Special Forces detachment has 2 Special Forces medics that are trained to a very high trauma level that will be with each element. We also have a support element that will have a senior non-commissioned officer, Special Forces medic, who is responsible for the evac and anything that those 2 medics cannot handle. He'll be the one that will be directly interfacing with the hospitals.
So we know now by this admission that they will be ready for any casualties that arise from the event, and that local law enforcement will be conditioned to interface with the DoD. Namid stated that some of the soldiers will in large part be undetectable, despite one specific item of clothing.
The first brown shirts with their swastika armbands stride arrogantly into the meeting.
That, for us, that's one of the big things. We make sure that all of our guys have some type of marking that they'll all be wearing an armband with a marking that identifies them as part of the exercise. And if we have role players, for example, a landowner or a business owner who is participating in the exercise, we'll ensure that they have marking as well, that they're part of the exercise.
So there you have it. In a nutshell, U.S. military coordinating with local law enforcement and elements of the willing public. They'll be conducting clandestine activities, carrying weapons under aircraft cover at night, wearing armbands with a special insignia for 2 months across 10 states. This is by far the greatest public conditioning exercise in American history. This, as the world watches Cheyenne Mountain reopening in anticipation of an EMP attack and key operations of the New York Federal Reserve moving to Chicago in the event of a natural disaster.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Now, the event that is truly on the horizon is anyone's guess. However, one thing is for sure, troops will be ready and trained to take over your town when it happens.
Well, this is Tom for ResurrectTheRepublic.com, and thank you to Gary Franchi. His link to his full video will be in the description, along with the JADE HELM documents, U.S. Stability Police Force for the 21st Century Policing. All those documents will be at ResurrectTheRepublic.com and in the description. Thanks for tuning in. Tom Lacavera-Stewart, ResurrectTheRepublic.com.
To give them a heads up. Also, if you see something, say something.
Yes.
Post your observations in the comment section below so we can maintain a crowdsourced record from the people, by the people.
Excellent idea.
For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi, and as always, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. That's how we grow.
RTR Truth Media on YouTube. www.resurrecttherepublic.com is on radio, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, RBN.
Which led to controversy regarding its legitimacy. MKUltra involved the pioneering of many methodologies to manipulate individuals' mental states and alter brain functions. including the surreptitious administration of psychoactive drugs and other chemicals, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse.
He had been given 10 boxes of CIA information on a freedom of information. It's never stopped.
Sun Tzu, within the works of The Art of War, talk about the fact that if you can understand your enemy so well to the level of where you can psych him out, basically defeat him before you put one boot on the battlefield, you've become a true master of your domain, a true master of your domain, a true master of your domain.
Now, my statement is, I've been a Green Beret for the last 26 years within Special Forces. I do know the USAC commander and the USAF commander very well. 3 Sergeant Charles Cleveland and a 2-star Darcy Rogers. And I'm here to tell you, from my experience in combat with them, these 2 men cannot be trusted. When they tell you something, you take it with a grain of salt. And when you go back to Fort Bragg and you debrief, you let Charles Cleveland know, my name is Keith Helper. He'll remember because he knows exactly what he did and he knows I know. And I will do everything in my power to let this community know these 2 men cannot be trusted. Now, my statement is, I've been a Green Beret for the last 26 years within Special Forces. I do know the USAC commander and the USAF commander very well. 3 Sergeant Charles Cleveland and a 2-star Darcy Rogers. And I'm here to tell you, from my experience in combat with them, these 2 men cannot be trusted. When they tell you something, you take it with a grain of salt. And when you go back to Fort Bragg and you do your debrief, you let Charles Cleveland know, my name is Keith Helper. He'll remember because he knows exactly what he did and he knows I know. And I will do everything in my power to let this community know these 2 men cannot be trusted. Thank you, Mr. Helper.
Thanks to InfoWars, Sergeant Biggs, and here are the individuals involved with mastering the human domain. They are all biometric specialists. All biometrics. Mastering the Human Domain, written by RAND Corporation. All of this is fused together. Agenda 21, Delphi Technique, RAND Corporation, Carnegie Endowment, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, the Frankfurt School. This is communism, collectivism, and corporate fascism all together rising. Ugh. Wake up, America.